Good afternoon, everybody. It's Gary Brown with the User Group. I want to introduce Ryan. He's going to do the presentation for the Tour de Force webinar today. Ryan, go ahead and take it away. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. As Gary mentioned, my name is Ryan Elliott. I'm Vice President of Customer Experience here at Tour de Force. And today's webinar is going to be the Tour de Force difference, CRM and BI solution with direct integration to your Infor system. So we're going to spend some time talking about how Tour de Force works, how it integrates, and what you can expect from working with the Tour de Force product. So set the agenda for today, review of what sets Tour de Force apart from other CRM and BI solutions. We'll review the flexibility of Tour de Force, what you can do with the product, and we'll demonstrate Tour de Force on the web, how a user in the field on a phone or tablet can use Tour de Force, as well as someone that's in the office that might be considered a power user or a manager. So we'll go through both of those today. We have about 30 to 35 minutes, as Gary mentioned, to do all that. So we'll try to get through this as quick as possible. A little bit about our client base with Infor. We have quite a few customers. The biggest customers that we have right now are Infor SX.e. We have quite a few Take Stock, A+, and Infor Fax customers. And the markets we really service in that area are typically electrical distributors, industrial and abrasives, fluid power, equipment, HVAC, sanitary, paper. So those are the numbers and types of folks that we work with typically in the Infor space. So what makes Tour de Force different? So you probably look online and look at different products on the market, and everybody's got a differentiator. And really what makes us different is that we not only provide a software, but we provide you a solution and we partner with you through that process. So what that means is we work with you, we understand your business model, we understand what you're trying to accomplish, and we create specific implementation plans around each customer. Each customer is a little bit different. You may be a distributor, you may be a manufacturer, but you're probably different from some of our other customers in how you do business. And that's what we want to make sure that we understand as part of the implementation process. A lot of other softwares on the market will sign you up and then send you off to a third-party implementation team. We have the implementation team here in-house. That's how we do business. They are employees here at Tour de Force. We don't contract that work out. So that's something that makes us a little bit different from a lot of vendors on the market. We do have direct integration to Infor products, Infor SX.e, Fax, Take Stock, A+. We've integrated to them all. We have customers that use that integration today to get information that's important at your fingertips. And ultimately, we deliver more than you typically expect from a CRM system. And that's something that's important to note, because a lot of people will look at CRM as a commodity. They'll say, okay, well, that's great. You can do contact management, account management. That's fine. But we need more than that. We need the ability to do some gap analysis and some marketing automation and a couple other things that would suit our inside sales team. Great. Tour de Force likely has that as part of our suite of solutions that allows you to accomplish that. So wanted to mention that because a lot of times that kind of gets left out, and because we don't have a ton of time together on this webinar today, I just wanted to make mention that there are other pieces to our product outside of CRM and business intelligence. One of the things we focus on with our customers is user adoption. Primary to what you would consider super important to an implementation would be user adoption. That's the primary critical piece, and the executive and management commitment to the initiative is something that we consider very important. If you see a great software on the market and you start using it and you see it stop being used, generally that's related to user adoption, and generally that's related to no buy-in. Nobody from the management side is pushing this initiative. So we want to talk about that because that's something that's important. The ease of use, the data entry, the ability to manipulate information, getting information at your fingertips, that's critical. Providing information and value all up and down the spectrum of users, whether that's an inside sales, outside sales, marketing person, somebody that's a CFO, vice president, president. We want to be able to provide you information that's important. I'll give you an example. Today I was working with one of our customers, and they needed the ability to have a specific alert that captures what they consider their sales call reporting. And they have each rep that creates notes and creates information each day while they're on the road, and they need to be able to provide information back to the owner of the company. And he talked to us, and he and I had a good conversation, and he said, look, I just can't get them to do this stuff on time. I need the ability to do it quickly and have a report sent to me. So there's two pieces that we're creating value for that company. One is the end user, giving them the ability to easily get information in the system where they can easily create their activities, and two is providing an automated report back to the manager and owner of the company. So that's just a way that we help people do that process. That's something we do during implementation, with something we do in post-implementation when you work with our support team or you work with our consulting teams. So that's something that makes us a little bit different. And ultimately, having the right people involved is critical. You know, if you don't have the right people involved from our team or your team, that's going to help, to have a project fail. You need to have those critical people involved. So again, user adoption, the reason we talk about it is because that's something that everybody talks about and asks us when we have the discussions about using Tour de Force. Well, how do we get users to use it? How do we get our people in the system? And that's something we'll help with through that implementation process. Integration points. And I know this is something that, a lot of people will say, oh yeah, we have integration to Infor and we have integration to this data. And then you get into it and you find out the integrations you having to upload a file to someone. That is not the case with our product. That is not the case with Tour de Force and our connector. Our connector affords us the ability to connect to a database, whether that's, the Infor SX platform, the fax platform, the Plus platform, any of those platforms. It allows us to connect to the database, pull the information you see on the left-hand side of the screen into our connector, and ultimately provide information in Tour de Force on the CRM level that could include calculated values. We could split orders up. We could do product modifiers, vendor business intelligence potentially, quote to opportunity. The abilities are virtually endless. I only put a small list on here just to give you an idea of what we can do with that connector. But we can also pull from other places, and that's the thing that we come up against a lot, is that a lot of people have their ERP, but they may have another system that they want to pull data from. It's not uncommon for us to meet with a customer, and during the implementation process, they say, hey, we talked to the sales team when you guys did the demo for us, and one of the things we needed to pull data from was this third-party, data source, or this, maybe from bid boards or from a phone system, or they've got a data warehouse that they produce specific information that they'd like to be pulled into Tour de Force. We can do that. The nice part about the connector is that we can do that type of integration to pull things that are important to you outside of just the invoices, quotes, orders, the standard sales stuff, and accounts and contacts into Tour de Force CRM. We can pull the other information too. Now with Infor SX.e, we also have the ability to do a two-way process. We can actually do a quote-to-quote or quote-to-order or even quote-to-price contract with SX.e. And we can also do two-way contact sync with Infor SX.e. Now, the other systems, I know there are certain things that you can do with those as well, like the two-way contact sync, but all that hinges around some third-party integration from the ERP side. Infor SX.e has the main platform that we work with to do the two-way processing today. So wanted to mention that for any of you that are interested. We do have customers that are using that today. And last but not least, before we get into the demo itself, really what Tour de Force provides you is one place for all your information. The ability to take data sources all over the place and get them into Tour de Force. Maybe you have a support desk, maybe you have customer service, maybe you have a service team. Potentially you've got an engineering group. All those different pieces of information can be stored and accessed within Tour de Force. And that's on top of the accounts, contacts, activities, standard things you would do with CRM. So I wanted to mention that because that's a lot of times people go, well, do I have to go here? I have to go there. I have to go to this system. A lot of times what we can do is help merge all those systems into one place, and then ultimately it's Tour de Force. So that's something that we'll go through today. We'll talk about that in the demonstration. As Gary mentioned, if you have questions, put them in the Q&A panel. We'll get to those at the end of the session, and we'll try to get through this quickly so you can get back to the rest of your busy days. So I wanted to talk about Tour de Force Web first. Tour de Force Web is a fully responsive HTML5 design. We just recently released our 2017 version of Tour de Force. We've gotten that out in the market. We are working on our R2 for the end of this year, so we'll have another version out as well by the end of this year. And then there'll be a 2018 coming next year. So we continuously improve your experience with our product and with our solution. So fully responsive HTML5 design works on any device. Doesn't matter if it's a tablet, laptop, iPhone, Android phone, doesn't matter. I'm going to do this in full screen mode, make it easy. I'm on a Dell 2-in-1 tablet that's basically the same thing as a Surface Pro. The nice part about the web version of Tour de Force is the ability to use it anywhere. It could be a hotel computer, could be an app through a TV, it could be through your PS4. It doesn't really matter. As long as you have access to a browser and the internet, you can get access to your Tour de Force product. So when you first log in, you're going to have access to information based on your permission set. And how we do permissions and how we set information up is based upon how we bring information in from your ERP. We can set this up to match up with your business structure. So if you've got branches, regions, company level, and then in the middle there you see where it says Ann Fisher, Mandy Ellerbrock, Mickey Hartman, those would be the sales reps. Those would be the sales reps or territories. We do understand that you may have the information stored in SX or stored in one of the other Infor platforms at a bill to or ship to level, so we can do both. We can accommodate both bill to and ship to. We also have the ability to bring data in and have someone who owns the account and then provide you also with the ability to see information through our business intelligence for if somebody is servicing the account. So you may have shared accounts in the system. You may have people that are selling certain product groups where you need to set up rules so that you can manage those product group managers and see what their information looks like. So those are things that we can do with the integration we have, and then we can set up the structure of the system to match that. Now, one of the big differences that Tour de Force does compared to other systems on the market, or even some of the older systems on the market, is that our system is all account-based CRM. So what that means is a lot of people do things in the past, or they've done things in the past based on contacts only. What that means at the account-based level is it gives you another level that you can access information, where you can see details, where you can look at actual sales numbers, you can look at actual orders. That kind of information at the account level is vital to a sales rep when you're going in and having meetings and having discussions. So I want to talk about that today, as well as what your day-to-day routine looks like as a sales rep. So if we kind of walk through, what do I do as a sales rep each day? What am I responsible for? What does my calendar look like? These are things we want to talk about, because not only does Tour de Force have integration to ERP, we have integration to Outlook and Exchange, as well as Google Business. So we have the ability to tie out appointments, tasks, and contacts to those systems. So from an appointment standpoint, we have the ability to generate appointments within Tour de Force that can automatically be pushed, I'm going to say Outlook, but take Google Business as part of that as well, to your Outlook calendar. So if I come in and create a brand new appointment, I can say, you know what, who am I creating this appointment for? I can look at my recent items and say, you know what, I'm going to meet with Chris Harbin from ABEC, but there might be a couple other people in there, so I'm just going to go ahead and meet with this particular ABEC company. I'm going to go ahead and create that appointment. So it allows me to create the appointment. When it generates the appointment, it has standard information that you'd expect from any appointment. The subject line, so discussion about, helps if you spell it correctly, about new product lines. And then new location, you know what, we're going to meet at their main office. When is it going to be? You know what, it is going to be this afternoon, shortly after this call. Do I want to invite any attendees to this? Do I want to create a meeting request out of this? Yeah, I can do that as well. The big advantage to using this on the web and using this on your phone is that when you go in and create the appointment, you can go down this bottom section here and actually do talk to text with the notes. So that's something that you can do very quickly. And I'm actually going out to do a training session next Tuesday with one of our customers, where they've got outside reps coming in, and their biggest concern is, how do I easily create appointments and my sales call reports in the field? Same company I was talking about earlier. How do I create my sales call reports? How do I get my appointments in? How does that information get created very quickly? And if I was on a phone, from just a sizing standpoint, I'll give you an idea what that looks like. Everything automatically resizes. So this is essentially what your phone's going to look like when you're using Tour de Force. You can shrink sections down. I can come down here. If I wanted to load this full screen on my phone, I can do that. I can then do talk to text, get my notes in, and then move about the product for any other information I'm looking for, and be available for the rest of the day to be able to see the information that I just created. So creating an appointment, creating that information in Tour de Force is very quick and easy to do, and super simple. So I'm going to go ahead and save and close that. Now what that's going to do is allow me to hit today on my toolbar there, and it's going to show me that appointment I just created. Discussion about new product lines. It's going to happen at 3 o'clock today, and I'm still going to get my normal Outlook reminder right before this. If I have a half-hour reminder, 15-minute reminder, whatever it is, that I have that appointment. Now, say before I go there, I would like to know more about that account. I need to know more information. I can simply click on the account name, and this is going to provide you with information about the account. Now, whether that's the address where you just need to send it out to a map and know where you're going, or it's the phone number because you need to make a phone call when you get there, or potentially some information that might impact your marketing team. What kind of customer is it? What's the customer class? What type? Well, this is an HVAC distributor, but it could have been an HVAC, and it could have been a contractor. It could have been an electrical engineer, or something like that. So we'd have the ability to have those different types. All the things that you see in here, when you look at this and you say, I need to be able to quantify the information, the drop downs, the multi-selects, that's all controlled by you as a customer. You have the ability, and we'll help you with the implementation process of setting that up, but you have the ability to go in and manage that as a company. You don't have to rely on us. I know a lot of times when you look at other systems in the market, you'll have to call someone and they'll have to go in and make changes for you, or you'll have to call someone and they say, you know, we can't do that for you. We'll have to customize this. Here's what it's going to cost. That's not how our product works in terms of the way you set these things up. You could say, hey, I need 3 new fields on the account. I need one to be a drop-down, one to be a multi-select, and one to be, you know, just a text box. You can do that yourself with our screen designer, and that's what makes it very simple for our end users. You can be self-sufficient. You can self-manage, so that's very nice to have. Now you look at this and you say, okay, Ryan, you keep talking about integration, but you haven't showed me anything. You're showing me the CRM data, you're showing me great stuff, but I need to know about the integration data. What am I getting when I look at an account? So there's 2 things that you can look at when you look at an account from a sales data perspective. You can look at the easy way of getting the information, which is the BYOR, advanced reporting, or you can look at the sales data tab, which is a more analytical view. It's still an easy way to get the data, but it's a much more analytical view of it. So if I said I want to run a report and see some information, the customer scorecard is going to essentially look like this. It's got a rolling 12 analysis on sales, so I can see that. So I can see total sales, in this case profit, and then sales goal. I've got my opportunities here. I've got my top vendors. I've got my product groups year over year. So what did they buy last year? What are they buying this year? I've got my accounts receivable balances, which I know is always something that's going to come up when you're talking to a company and a sales rep's involved. Rolling 12 analysis, GP percentage, GP dollars. Open orders, open quotes. Then you've got product groups, products, their highest and lowest sales. And the nice part about having all this in one report is you don't have to go anywhere else to manage that. Now, do you have to have the report this big and you say, oh, our sales reps will never look at all that? No, absolutely not. You could decide as part of the implementation, you say, hey, I want to take out 4 sections of this. I just want a couple things. Or I'm just super excited because I like the visuals. I just want to send them the visuals in the accounts receivable section. Great, you can do that. And the nice part about these reports is the rep can run these in real time. Pull up their report, run the report, they can see what the sales numbers look like. See there's a huge spike in July, see it dip back down in August, and you can get back over and see all the information over there. So you can get a sense of what's going on with that account just simply by running that particular report. Now the nice part is you can have other reports in your repertoire. You can go in and say, you know what, I need a key products report. I need a specific report for something related to that customer. You can have those as well. So you don't have to just have one report. Now if you look at it and you say, you know, that's great, but you know, I want to dig into the data myself. I don't want to run a report. The sales data tab is where you can do that. And you can look at the data from an annual perspective, quarterly perspective, monthly perspective. It's really just a matter of what your preferences are. And it allows you to drill into the information. So if I wanted to look at all the details behind this, I've got the ability to go down and say, you know what, I want to see it by product group, or I want to see it by vendor. You can just simply click on that and it shows you the pivoted data, just like you see here, year to date, last year to date, shows you that information by the other different groups. You can also see where you've got a goal in here. Tour de Force also has a sales planning module. That's a standard piece of our product. Everything that I've shown you so far is a standard piece of what Tour de Force offers. It's part of the base package. When you log in and you look at the information, you see annual, quarterly, monthly sales, you see a goal in there. You could have a sales goal at this level. You could have a sales goal at the individual rep level. Doesn't matter. You can have that information in here. Or maybe you want to look at a quick hit view of what's going on with the account in general. Last invoice, last payment, what's their AR balance, how many open orders they have. This is kind of information you could have here as well. So the details that you have access to really are preference-based. Maybe I want to look at open orders. I could certainly do that too, where I can look at open orders. And if I wanted to drill into a specific order, I can do that, and it's going to show me the order detail. I can even see the individual line items. Now, I've shown this to hundreds of prospects over the years, probably into the thousands. Hundreds of existing customers in training and doing things like that. And they're always looking for, what can I get on the road that I just can't get in the office unless I make a phone call to inside sales and they provide it to me, or I just can't get. And this is the kind of information, being able to get the order lines without having to use a VPN, being able to get the general summary of an account without having to make a phone call to the accounts receivable department, being able to look at the sales data and really kind of fine tune your discussion and how it's going to go with that particular company. So that's where you get access to the sales data within Tour de Force. Now you can look at that and go, okay, well that's good. That satisfies my curiosity about the intelligence piece and how we can integrate. What about all the CRM stuff? We have access to that as well. Whether I'm looking for all the contacts related to that account, or I'm looking for all of the most recent emails that have been logged. And I'm going to pause on that, and I want to explain email logging because I think this is a subject that's very important to a lot of people we work with. Email logging in Tour de Force allows us to, at the server level, capture emails, compare the email address and the to, the from, and the CC field to the contact within Tour de Force. Now, this doesn't matter if it's a Tour de Force user, right? So if I look at this and I said, well, I've got 5 people in accounting that probably aren't going to use Tour de Force. They've got the Infor SX.e system that they use. That's fine. They wouldn't necessarily have to, but if you wanted their emails to be logged in the system that they're sending to the customer, we can do that, and you'd be able to see that information automatically. And it's hugely important to outside sales reps, especially when you're in looking at details of the account and want to know what's going on. That communication is something that you want to have access to. So you definitely have access to the emails. You'd have access to all the activities. Maybe you wanted to access all of the particular appointments that you might have for that particular account. So you can see all that information in one view, and it allows you to see it in a chronological order. So it makes it very easy for the sales rep to be able to understand what's going on. So between the sales data and the CRM data, realistically, we're providing you with a full spectrum view of that account. And that's just simply clicking on it from an appointment. So I was in here on the appointment. I said, I want to know more about the account. I can do that. Now I've got my appointment loaded. I'm talking to that customer. I walk out the door. Now what do? Well, I need to create my sales call report. I need to create my notes. Convert. We can go up and say, you know what, this was an on-site visit. I'm going to go ahead and copy my details over, and we'll automatically convert that appointment to an activity. It takes the duration into account. If you had a duration, it allows you to select information. So again, these drop-downs are controlled by you. So maybe we talked about drives, motion controls, and motors with this customer in this on-site visit. We determined we can save them about $5,000 a year if they switch to our product. We did some value add because I talked to a couple of their engineers in the shop and explained how these products can better suit them. And maybe it was a joint call that a vendor was a part of. Those are all things that you may or may not want to know. Anything that you need to quantify to be able to have that information back in the office or to have that information to look up as a sales rep is what you can do with this activity and how that's set up. Now again, the biggest ability you have in here too, from a quickness of data entry down at the bottom section here, is what can I do when I'm done with the appointment and I convert that over to an activity? How do I get my notes in? 2 things. One, you can go to drafts. You can actually put some draft notes in there and then you can talk to text that in, or you can put draft notes and type it out. And 2, it gives me the ability to quantify everything that's up here. So take this situation, and the president and I were talking yesterday, and we were talking about a couple scenarios about sales call reporting and the benefits of having activity creation and why that's important to a company. And if you think about it from this perspective, one of the things that we run into a lot is value of a sales rep to the customer that they have. Pardon me, I'm going to sneeze. Ooh, sorry about that. Excuse me. So one of the big values is, sales reps going on, they're talking to a customer, they're always talking to the customer, and they go out to the warehouse and maybe they meet with the guy working in the shop, and they have some discussions about why a particular product's better than another product, or what the benefits are, the lifespan, or something like that. And essentially they're offering some free technical advice, to that person in the shop. And a lot of times that's not captured. A lot of times that information isn't discussed outside of that person in the shop with the sales rep. So when you come to the end of the year, you come to the end of the buying cycle, and the purchasing agent is calling up your company, and they give you a list of all the things they buy, and they say, hey, you need to knock 5% off of all these products for next year, and here's why your competition is doing this. You can go back to looking at the activities, looking at all the on-site visits, looking at the value add, and say, look, that's fine. We could certainly do that. But did you realize that our sales reps are spending an extra half an hour every time they come to your office with the folks in the shop and going through and giving them advice and talking to them from a technical standpoint? Did you realize that? And the purchasing agent probably has no idea that's occurring. So this is a way for you to take this information and use it to your advantage, because you could talk to a purchasing agent about this and pull up their account and say, hey, show me all the value add activities we did, and it adds up to X number of hours that we've spent at your site. We didn't bill you for it. We didn't charge you anything for it. That's just part of what we do as an organization. That's part of what we do when we sell you a product. We give you some advice on how to use it as well. And you can take that back to the purchasing agent, and they can make a decision. You can tell them, hey, look, we can knock 5 points off. We can certainly do that, but you're not going to get all this free advice anymore. I mean, we just can't do both. One of the things we do is we give you this free advice, and we may not be the cheapest guy on the block, but we have the best people to come in and talk to your folks. So, think about that from an activity standpoint. Don't when you explain it to a sales rep, you're talking about it to your staff, especially from a user adoption standpoint. When we talk about activities, it's not just something else to do. It's not just something else I have to create. It's something that adds value. It's something that allows me to look at my notes from the last discussion. It's something that I can use as a leverage point when we have the discussion about price, or we discuss a new product line, and they realize that I'm knowledgeable as a sales rep, and I'm coming out and I'm having discussions with the folks in the shop about how to use it and what's the best purpose for it. And those things get remembered when you have those in the notes form like this, where you can look these up and see the information. So just wanted to mention that, because that's you think about this, I can talk technical all day, but I'd rather talk about real world scenario, how this benefits you, how this benefits your team, and what you can do with the information. So again, I can create the activity automatically. Now when I close this, the information from today, now I've got my activity that I generated, and I've got my appointment. So your daily calendar starts to fill up very easily, and then the information that's in there can flow back to a sales manager, can flow back to an owner within our alerts and notifications. So one of the things we'll talk about here in a minute is how this information gets back to the folks that need to read about it. You have access to tasks as well. So if I wanted to create tasks, I can certainly do that, and they can be synced with my Outlook calendar or with Google. I've got some sales visualizations here that might be important to me as a sales rep. Maybe I'm logged in as a sales manager, and I want to see all of the sales reps. Maybe you want to look at it that way. Maybe you're not a big fan of pie charts and you'd rather look at a bar chart. You do something like that. It is somewhat interactive, so you can kind of tinker with it. So it does give you the ability to set that as your default as well. Doesn't override permissions by any means, but what it does is allows you choice, especially as sales reps want to have choices of what they see. And then the alerts and notifications are something that are, in my opinion, hugely important to a project, hugely important to an implementation. Being able to see your sales territories figures right there in an alert every day, kind of staring you in the face. You may know what these numbers are. You may have somebody that's presenting reports to you, but to have it automatically generated every day and either sent to you or available to you on your home screen is immensely important. Being able to compare versus goal, having subtotals, being able to see the information that way. Maybe you have branches. Maybe you want to see the branch totals, and you want to have that added up for you every day and see what the totals are in comparison to goal. Maybe you are the regional manager for all these branches, and you want to see what's going on. And then if you wanted to see it versus the sales territory, you could do that. Or in general, you wanted to pull up all the accounts that are struggling this year, and you want to dig into that a specific account. Matt Quotex for Bob, I can see we're down $190,000. Let me open that and see which product group it is. Sales data, product group. Simple. 3 clicks, down in. I can look at all the product group sales for that particular account, and I can see what's going on. I need to talk about Amatec. I need to talk about Rubber Fab. These are the things they're not buying this year. That's a problem. Amatec is the biggest. So you could see that information direct from an alert. Or maybe you're looking at the open orders. What are the 10 largest open orders in my territory? And you want to dig into that. Ooh, what's going on with this order? Again, I can drill into the order details direct from the alert, and maybe I want to look at all 100 lines. Now, why you would look at those, I don't know, but you have access to them. A lot of this is related to a lot of sales reps want to know what product they're selling, and you can dig into that information. So the alerts and notifications are key. Now, we talked about activities. What are all the new activities that happened in the last 7 days? I don't know. Let me see. Oh, these are all the activities. Whatever details you want to have in there. Maybe new accounts have been added to your territory. Or if you do jobs, public bid jobs, what are the jobs bidding in the next 7 days? What are the contractors we're working with? Potentially, what are my orders past the required due date? Quotes that are going to expire? Quotes created yesterday? There's any number of different options for the alerts and notifications. And the way we set that up and the way we do the implementation, and again, this is a busy section of the demo because this is the realm of the possible. What are the things that I could use this for? Do I have to subscribe to all these? No, I don't have to have all these at all by any means. But can I subscribe to these if I want? Certainly. And that's something that we give you the choice of doing. Or if you wanted to have some other scorecards related to your sales rep in general, potentially you wanted to have a salesman scorecard similar to that customer scorecard. You could have these dashboards that are shipped out every single day to your sales reps, so they don't have to worry about what's going on with their sales numbers. They don't have to do the math themselves, and you don't have to worry about somebody manually creating these. We can have these sent out every day so you can see what's going on. And maybe you want to see what the commission value is, or the rolling 6-month trend, or what are my declining accounts versus my growth accounts. Those are all things that you can do with this information. What are the total activities created? Or maybe you're more of an executive person and you want to have an executive style dashboard that's available to you. You could have something like this available on your home screen. Come in and run this report and see what's going on. I could see overall company health. What are my reps doing? What are the product groups we're selling the most of? Maybe you didn't realize that you sell a lot of ASCO valves in comparison to Alliant. Maybe you didn't know that. You've got summary settings here for accounts receivable balances. You've got product information. And one of the things we can integrate to and pull is product detail. Maybe you want to look at it from a sales details perspective. You want to look at my year-to-date sales for my top 10 accounts. I want to look at my order backlog. Those are all things that you'd have access to. Or maybe you're a more goal-oriented company and you want to see information at a manager's level with goals in it. Maybe that's something that's important to you, including profit margin, profit margin dollar and profit margin percentage. Ooh, looks like I've got 2 accounts in here that I didn't have goals for this year, which means that's part of my growth. So these are new accounts we haven't sold to in the past, and this year we've sold to Ranklax and we've sold to Celtron, and those are 2 accounts that I didn't expect, so next year I can plan for those. So those are things that you could do with the reporting. These are all standard things that come with Tour de Force. Again, out of the box, standard packaging. A couple more things in web, and then we'll jump into the Outlook toolbar for a minute. You can do global searches, so search across the entire company. You can use the recent items. The recent items is great, especially when you forget what you're looking at, or you get to the afternoon and you go, I don't remember what I did earlier today, and it allows me to go in and do that. I use this constantly. Not only do we sell Tour de Force as a solution, we use it internally. We use it for ourselves. So I have the ability to go in and look at all the things I've worked on. Maybe your favorites. The 80-20 rule. 80% of my sales made up of 20% of my accounts. What are all the accounts I have in here as favorites? I can go in and look at that. So here's all the accounts that I have as my favorites. I apparently have a lot of accounts, and I can see that detail. You can even navigate through them. So if I want to look at ABAC, I want to look at, let's look at Cozini, let's look at Hexlux. When I hit open, it actually opens those in a navigator. The navigator is a nice little tool because if I'm going on site to visit all 3 accounts, I can have them preloaded on my tablet or on my phone, and I can start cycling through them and looking at the details. So I have access to that information quickly. So the information that we've got in here is very valuable to an outside sales staff and very valuable to the folks that are in the office. So the more they capture, more details they capture, more information they put in, everybody in the office can see that as well. So I want to jump to the Outlook toolbar. We've got about 4 or 5 minutes here, and then we'll take some questions. So the Outlook toolbar allows us to do a couple different things. We've got one of the alerts in here that's more of a text-based alert in the email form, where I can see the same kind of stuff I was seeing on my home screen. We can do salesman scorecards. Those can be sent out through the alerts and the notifications as well. So if I wanted to get my salesman scorecard emailed to me every day, I could do that. Here's Matt's dashboard. His accounts are doing pretty good. I can see he's getting kind of wavy in his lines. I can see where it dips off in July, which is, that's fishing season, so he's out on his boat. But then it jumps back up when he comes back, and then he takes into hunting season. And so you get the idea, right? You can see the ebbs and flows of what's going on with sales. But I can get that in my inbox every day if I want and have that alert sent to me. So those are things that you can do. The other piece to the toolbar and the other piece to Tour de Force is that I can do things direct from an email. Got an email from Chris. I can look it through the email. I can see it's logged in Tour de Force. If I want to open the account and look at details, I just simply open the account. And the toolbar makes it easy for me to open the account. Now this opens up the Tour de Force screen, and all the same stuff that the outside reps that are traveling on the road and using their phones to do and see, you can see there, you can do here. You can see that information. So maybe you wanted to look at all the activities that have been generated for this particular account. And I can see it, oh, there's the new one I just created today. So this does have a direct tie back to the inside sales group or customer service group or even the management group to where you can see what's going on with accounts across the board. or maybe you need to look at the sales data. One of the things we're adding in R2 for Tour de Force, so when it comes out here in the end of December, is the drill down capability that we have in desktop. One of the nice features about desktop is the sales information has direct drill down capability. Now what that means is I can click on this plus sign and investigate sales at a different level. So maybe I want to look at vendor sales for this particular account. Maybe I've got a vendor asking me, hey, for that ASCO account, what's going on with your vendor sales? Alpha Laval, what product groups are you selling of Alpha Laval? Well, I can drill into that again. And I can go and look at the product groups. Here's all the product groups that we're selling of Alpha Laval. And maybe you want to look at item codes instead. Well, what are all the specific item codes that we're selling? We give you the ability to manage what's going on with that account by giving you access to the information right at your fingertips. 2 clicks of the mouse, I can get into this and start looking at the drill down data. So from an outside sales rep's perspective in the field, very important. From an inside sales perspective, very important. So we service both areas. So that's one of the things that you can do with that data. You can get access to. You can still run the reports. You can still come in here and run the scorecards. Still have access to those. I can go in and I can say, you know what, show me all the communication. Now you can do this in web too, but one of the things that we like to do for inside sales and especially customer service is give you a view of everything right in one area. Here's all the communication, all the contacts, all the opportunities that have been generated, all the activities, maybe with color coding. I've got orange and blue in there, emails, notes, all the things that I need to know about the account in one spot. Give that to me. Here it is. Here's all that information in one spot. Allows me to access it, allows me to see it, makes it easy for me to use. So that's something that I really want to stress, because not only can I get to this, I can get to this quickly from an email. I can get to that direct from an email. Or I can say, you know what, I want to view all the emails that Chris has sent me. View emails. Here's all the emails that Chris has sent me. So the email logging allows that to occur. And I can go in and say view emails, I can view activities. I can switch this view and say, you know what, I want to see activities related to this particular account. Great, I can see that. Here's all the activities. And you might look at that and go, what's that color code mean? Well, what we have is the ability to come in, and when you look at these views, you can actually color code what goes in there. So the activity type or the duration or that kind of stuff, you can set that, and then it automatically color codes just to draw your attention to it. So it makes it easy for you to understand. The one last piece to this, and then we'll take time for questions, is the Info Center. And the Info Center can either be loaded direct from the toolbar or from my main menu here. And if I load the Info Center up, this is going to give me access to information at a more granular level if I like. More of a management tool, more of a customer service tool. If I wanted to go in and look at all the sales analysis myself, simply go to the BI summary. And if I'm a manager or owner, I'd have a view that shows me the entire company. So what this is going to do is show me an entire company view of annual sales. Can I drill into that and look at greater detail? Absolutely. Allows me to look at it the way I want to look at it. And that's a lot of times what we run into, is that each person's a little bit different on how they want to view information. So I can come in and have this set up that I can drill into the data and look at the details. Or you know what, I just want to look at all the sales reps. I don't want to have to dig into it. I can say, show me the sales territory details, and you can have color coding in that as well. So not only can I see it and drill into it myself, where I can have different views, it just allows me to have the information that I want to have as a sales rep manager or as a manager of the company. So those are all things that I'd have access to. I can modify views and save them, that kind of stuff. So it does make it very easy. So managing accounts, managing contacts, seeing sales information, having access to it at your fingertips, maybe having a default report that runs every time you open up Tour de Force. These are all things from an inside sales perspective that become important, especially for management. So with that, I know we're getting close to our time ending here, Gary, so I figured it would be a good time to open it up for questions, and if anybody wants to drill into the data in a little bit more detail, we can certainly do that, and I'll put this slide up here so we've got that loaded as well. So I'll go ahead and turn it back to you, sir.
Absolutely. So if anybody has a question and you want to ask Ryan directly, you can raise your hand or type a question into the question bank. Right now, we have one question that's out there. What is the typical implementation time with a fax ERP?
Great question. So there's a couple different methodologies that we have for implementation. It depends on how many users and what we're going to train on and what the expectations are for the implementation. And a lot of that comes down to feature sets, right? So the basic CRM implementation or the basic business intelligence implementation, anywhere from 12 to 16 weeks. If you've got some additional things that you want to do, maybe some additional things with support or some of those other modules that we have, somewhere between 16 to 18 weeks generally. And that's the general time frame for implementation, and something we work with you as part of the sales process. We'll talk to you about it. We'll give you the options. We'll tell you, here's a couple of different ways that we can implement. Do you want web-based training? Do you want train the trainer? Do you want us to come on site? What's your methodology? Do you have a business process already? And to be fair, that last one is probably the biggest identifier of how we do the implementation. If you already have business processes in place that you abide by, and this is just putting the software in place to help that, then we can do some shorter time frame implementations. But if you say, you know what, we really don't have a specific business process, we want you to help us with that, then the little bit longer implementation with a pilot phase is the way to go. And that's called our roadmap, and we have that out on the website. So don't want to give you too much on that answer, but the short answer is right around 12 to 18 weeks, depending on what we're really implementing, and that's a standard process.
Okay, all right, and I'm assuming it's the same for A+, SX.e, and anything else. Okay.
Yep, that's absolutely correct.
Second question then, we're using SX.e 10.3 GUI. Does PDF tie in directly so that orders and quotes can be entered through TOR-TOFORCE? In other words, will our inside sales reps need to use both TOR-TOFORCE and SX.e simultaneously?
So from an order entry standpoint, orders still need to be processed in SX. So let me explain this. We do have a quote module. We do have the ability to create quotes in TOR-TOFORCE. We do have the ability to get customer pricing from your price variables within SX. And then we also have the ability to push that into SX as an order. We can do all the front end parts of that with the quote module and the quoting capabilities that we have. The back end processing of the order, which is the pick tickets and the packing slips and all that stuff once it gets shipped, that still has to go through the ERP system. We can do the front end. We can do the quoting. Do you have to use ours for that? No. Do you have to use both interfaces? Not necessarily. You could use the Outlook toolbar for inside sales and still give them access to see information about accounts and contacts and maybe create activities. So it really depends on what each responsible person, each of the persons is responsible for. And that's something we work with you on as part of that sales process. We determine, hey, inside sales is going to be doing this. We want them to quote out of TOR-TOFORCE because then it's real-time quoting that goes direct to the outside sales rep so they can be alerted on it. Great, we can do that. Or you know what, they don't need to be real-time. It can just be, within a couple hours of creating a quote in SX, we need the outside sales rep to be able to see that that was quoted. We can do that too. So a lot of it comes down to business process as to how they would use the system. It's a great question.
And I don't see any more. Derek says thank you for the answer, though. So
absolutely.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I don't see any other questions, so we'll give it another couple of seconds to see if anybody else wants to raise their hand. Otherwise, thank you for a job well done, Ryan. It was a good webinar. Always interesting to see what solutions are out there for the Infor distribution user base. So,
absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks for having us.
I'm not seeing any more. I did see another comment. Very thorough demo. Very interesting. So, job well done. All right, folks, I think we can wrap it up. I want to thank you for your time today, and thank you, Ryan, for the presentation.
Absolutely.
And wish you all a good holiday season. Take care, everybody.